Darian George. I am the current assistant principal and finance and economics teacher, and I am from Rockford, Illinois.
I think what most of us are most interested in is why do you transfer from a cop to a teacher that teach finance?
Well, I guess it didn't so happen that quickly. So from 2007, 2010, I was a police officer. Do you want the backstory on that, or you wanted me to jump into the transition?
Whatever you want.
All right. So a lot of people don't know this story, and I don't tell it often because too many people ask. But I actually wasn't going to try out to be a cop. I was home visiting from St. Louis. I was with my cousin Darnell, and he was like, "Yo, let's go try out for the police department." I was like, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah, let's do it together." Like, cool. Me and Darnell like the same age, same height, same. His name is Darnell George. My name is Darian George. So they get us confused the whole time, right? We go through the whole process, and then I get a letter in the mail saying I was number one on the list of candidates. So I'm thinking that they just tell everybody that, right? But then my cousin never got a letter. And then the other people I knew that was there, they got numbers 38, 64, whatever. So I found out, like, no, you're actually the number one recruit on the list. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. So go do that. I'm a cop for a few years, and I'm working in the schools while I'm a cop. So while I'm working in the schools, I realized that a lot of the school issues we have is because they need better educators. And so that's when I started mentally preparing to be like a teacher. Because in one school year, we arrested like 110 students at a school that I was working at. It was 600 students at the school. We arrested over 100. So that means 1 in 6 students got arrested that year. Yeah. So that's when I started looking into the option to become a teacher. But I didn't start teaching finance right away.
So you were mentioning you wanted to provide a better education. So can you briefly explain what time actually you take to provide a better education?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with relatability. The students' representation matters, right? So the students weren't used to seeing people that look like them. So my first jobs working in the States, I worked at predominantly African American Latino schools, impoverished neighborhoods, and people could relate to me. The students could relate to me because we're from the same neighborhood, same area, and I knew what their upbringing was. Actually, I knew a lot of their parents, so that was really helpful. But I also know a different way to explain it. Like you guys see, like you got the textbook, but then there might be a different example I could give, right? That might actually hit home a little bit better. It could be better culturally. It could be just more relatable instead of just being so rigid. Even the way I explain finances, I'm trying to explain it to where it would make sense to you guys. If I explain it from my point of view, you may not get it because I was born in a different era than you guys, right?
Then how has being a police officer changed your point of view in education?
I don't know if it changed my point of view in education. What I would say is being a cop makes you appreciate even the bad days as a teacher. Like, even when I was a principal for a few years. Even on my worst days, I was like, well, no one's trying to shoot me, so that's good. Because as a cop, people just hate you just because you showed up. So you show up to a call, they could have called you, and they yelling, and they're the ones yelling, what took you so long to get here? And people just yelling. You're like, dude, I got here as soon as I got here. I don't have a time machine, right? That was every day, 5, 6 days a week, and you're supposed to do a 30-year career of that. Here, man, people showed me love. Like when I was a teacher, even in the worst schools, people showed me love. So you feel a lot better. So I would say my perspective. I think all inner city teachers should be cops first to have an appreciation of being a teacher because it's rough. It's for real rough.
Was there ever a particular event or experience that changed your view on justice or, justice in general?
Well, I can give you 2 examples. Again, let me know if I'm going into way too much detail. All right, so, we talked about Walmart earlier in class, right? We had a situation where this kid, he had to been like 13 years old. He stole a box of something from Walmart that was worth, let's say, $15. And the people at Walmart, loss prevention, they wanted to press charges. That means he had to go to juvenile detention, go through the system, and his parents had to pick him up. So this happens on a Tuesday. I'm there with my partner. I do the paperwork. I take the kid to juvie. Parents have to come pick him up. The next day, these two girls, they stole, so the one kid that was 12, 13 was a black kid. These two girls, these two white girls, one was 15, one was 17, they stole about $300 worth of electronics. Same situation, same Walmart, same loss prevention person, and they're like, oh, just trespass them. Like, what do you mean? Just so they can't come to the store again until they're 18. So they're not going to juvie? It's like, no. It's like, they'll be okay. And so the funny thing is, one of the girls, I think it was the 15-year-old, she's like, we're not getting arrested? I'm like, well, no, he didn't press charge. She's like, how are we ever going to learn? How are we going to learn our lesson? But it shows you the stark contrast how they treat young black boys as opposed to sometimes white girls. It's like, well, the black boy take him to juvenile, and he stole $15 worth of something, where these girls stole $300, a felony amount of electronics. The one girl that was 17 would have gone to jail because that's old enough to go to jail in the state of Illinois. So that was one moment that changed. Like, it's so blatant, the discrimination. But then the moment that made me want to quit being a cop, I'll never forget. It was October 31st, 2009, and it was Halloween. I was working the front desk. I leave out. I go handle a call at a hotel, and then I get a call over the radio like, George, get here right now. I get there to a party that was going on in the projects. It's about 200 bodies, 200 people running, and I look and like these bodies are picked up in the air. It was two boys, one 16, one 19, and people like going through their clothes, taking stuff out their pockets, taking their shoes off their feet, taking the chains off their neck, whatever. I don't remember if I saw that. I know it was in the report. Sometimes you read a report and you start imagining things that you actually probably didn't see. But I knew that's what was happening, and I'm trying to control the scene. It's just me and one other cop, and 200 people are fleeing the scene, and we have these two dead bodies. And they take the bodies to the hospital, pronounce both of them dead, and the kids, 16, 19, you guys' age, right? And the entire hood shows up to the hospital. Everybody else at that party shows up to the hospital. The family's mad, everyone's mad, and it was just it was a sight to see. That day I was like, I gotta get out of here. You know what I mean? So that was October 31st. I quit. My last day was January 5th, 2010. So like a few months later.
So there's a very interesting question I forgot to ask by who, but someone asked, so what are some tips for people who keep skipping leg days?
Honestly, leg day is like life. It's like a euphemism for life. You got to lean into it. So some people have two different philosophies. They think that you should just double up on your strengths and then just ignore your weaknesses. I believe you should lean into your weaknesses because there's certain things you're just going to have to learn how to do. Leg day is one of them things. I hated leg day at first. And then you just get to a point where you're like, okay, I got to attack leg day or it's going to attack me. So now I actually train legs twice a week. I try to do Monday and then Thursday or Friday. Like today normally would be my leg day, but I'll probably do legs tomorrow. Today's not looking like a likely gym day because I got to go to Morrison after this. But yeah, if you don't like to do leg day, also it's just like balance. Now, if you got good genetics, I got a friend who has this great leg genetics. He don't do nothing. Legs just look amazing. And then you can get away with it. But if you don't, I got West African legs. Like you got to build them up from the ground up. You have skinny calves. It's a bad look. So.
How did you get into weight training?
I got it from my dad. My dad was the first person that took me to the gym. Just watching him do the weight training, I saw what it does for your confidence. Because there's a lot of things, especially about your appearance, you can control. And so not to fat shame or to talk about people have conditions, I understand that. But if you want to change something about you that you can change, you should be working on that. And that could be physically, that could be mentally, that could be another language. That could be a lot of different things, but it's a process. But yeah, my father really got me into lifting weights. He used to take me to the gym with him from the moment I was old enough to go. And I just kind of kept up that habit. But I was always an athlete as well. So being an athlete, you want to stay in some type of physical conditioning.
Looking back, what do you wish you had known before coming? Okay, wait, I just missed it. Hold on. Looking back, what do you wish? Wait, I can't see. Looking back, what do you wish you had known before becoming a police officer?
What I would know before coming to police? Nothing. I mean, I think certain things you're not going to know until that. I think the worst thing about me being a cop, no one ever thinks about this and no one really cares. It killed my rap career, right? like no one wants to listen to a rapper that used to be a cop, right? It's like unless you're Rick Ross, right? Like he was a correction officer. But yeah, it's just like man, you just lose all street cred. Like after you're a cop. Never that I never had any street cred, but me being a cop just killed it, right? And so then it's like I can't go back to rap full time. But yeah, other than that, honestly, probably the hardest thing about being a cop was being a cop in my hometown. I think had I been a cop in a different city, I might have stayed. Because it's difficult when you're like arresting family members and people you grew up with. Complete strangers, it doesn't matter. Like I wouldn't care. So if I would have done a different city and even in the same state, I probably would have stayed a cop.
So then how did you get into finance and trading and economics?
Honestly, that was a pivot. So I originally got certified to do social studies. In the state of Illinois, social studies has an umbrella of all these other topics, which finance and economics is there. I didn't have my certification at first. I personally got myself into some financial trouble. This had to be like 2015, so like a decade ago, where I had to like figure it out. My credit score was bad. I was in debt. I had no savings. I had no plan for the future. So I meet a few people that worked on Wall Street, some friends that I had, and they sat down and like helped me figure some things out. But then I had to figure everything else out on my own. So what I started doing was making my own curriculum and like what would I have liked to know before I got into these financial situations. And that's kind of the curriculum that I'm using now in my finance class. That's why we start off with checking and savings, like just the basics. And then we're gonna get into credit and we're gonna get into wealth building eventually, right? So for me, it's just, I learned by experience. Like for real, like this is nothing I read in the book. This is like what I lived. And I also have seen, like I was down. I'm talking about negative 9,000, bad credit score. And right now, thank God I'm up, right? 6 figures saved and invested, could be a millionaire before 50 type situation, right? But it's not because I'm lucky. It's not because I'm even fortunate. It's because I made the right steps. Has nothing to do with you being good or bad. Wealth doesn't care. Wealth is like electricity. It's like gravity. It's indiscriminate of persons. You do the right motion, the right steps, you're going to be in a good place. You can be a great person and be broke, right? And you can be a not so great person and be filthy rich, i.e. President of the United States. So like, these are things that like he's gotten to that position based off of business actions that he's taken, regardless of how you feel about him ethically, right?
What did you have to do to get rich?
Well, I'm not rich. Okay, so honestly, they're just habits. And so my approach, I don't budget. This is what I do. I have a financial plan. Basically, like I just got paid today. So as soon as I get paid, I deposit my check into my account and I automatically pay myself first. So I take half of my check and I just automatically put it towards my investments. Well, I do that before I pay my bills. Now, most people don't do that. Even before I pay my electricity, cable, I invest in myself first. So I take that amount, do that, so that half is gone. Now, I got that working for me. I put it to work. It's in the stock markets, the ETFs, index funds. And right now, things are booming. That's one great thing about the new president-elect. The economy is booming right now. Crazy. I've made more money since he's been inaugurated than I have from my job. It's not even close. Since the election, I've made like an entire salary off of the stock market, right? So I do that, and then I pay my bills, and then the rest of my money, I spend on whatever. That's Uber Eats, that's movies, that's whatever. I don't have to worry about it, because once that runs out, I'm done. Right, I'm done. I'm at the house eating rice and tuna. But I try to budget, and then I budget out my trips in advance. I've already paid for my summer vacation. I use points for that. So then, like, by using my credit card every month, I pay it off in full every month, I get points. I use that to pay for my trips, pay some hotels. There's just a way, I was hustling backwards before. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. And this is stuff I'm gonna be teaching in finance, but I'm not rich. I'm not rich. I just don't have to work if I didn't want to. Okay.
So, personally, I'm very curious about how did you end up coming to Taiwan, and also especially in our school, and also what's your biggest culture shock while in Taiwan?
So I'll give you the short version of that story in particular. I was going to take like an adult gap year, like I wasn't going to work this year. But I had a couple projects that I was doing. Right now, I'm working on a Spanish program. I have another course that I'm doing for international educators. And the head of school at the time reached out to me about this position because my resume was in a database. I didn't apply in particular, they just reached out to me. And I looked at the offer and I was like, well, I guess I could accept that. And then the money I get from that job, I actually can use and invest in myself because that can be the money that's going to help me put forth my courses because I'm going to have to advertise. So it's better than me just living off my savings and investments. So for me, it made sense to take the position. The biggest culture shock, I would say, the time difference for me is difficult because I deal with the stock market in the States. So sometimes I have to wake up at weird times to try to make trades and do stuff like that. So that's difficult. Also, like I'm on financial panels, stock club, I miss all those calls, right? Like I just do because it just doesn't work. Sometimes I'm in the middle of a class and I get the ping and I'm just like, oh, I can't take this, I can't take this call. I'm teaching the class. This is double dipping. So that's probably the hardest cultural part for me. The hardest adjustment part is definitely the language. I've lived overseas for the last 12 years, but I speak fluent Spanish. Like I speak Spanish, I would say almost as well as I speak English. So I've had no issues with language prior. And then here I'm like, wait, what? And then the little bit of Mandarin I do speak, people get excited and then they'll just take off. I'm like, no. I know 8 words, guys. I got 8 words here. And then probably last but definitely not least, I would say the food is way different than like what I'm used to eating on a regular basis. Like just going into a 7-Eleven and seeing the options that they have is just way different than what I would see in the States, for the most part. But I do like that convenience stores are convenient. I pay my bills there. They always have something if you just want to pop something in the microwave real quick to eat it. For a single man, like it works perfectly. And literally I have a 7-Eleven right by my apartment. So if I need anything, I just go downstairs and just go grab it.
Do you have any major financial regrets?
Of course. Financial regrets. I wish if I was your age, I would have started saving in a Roth IRA. I'd be retired right now. Probably like when I quit being a cop, they gave me like a check of $10,000. It wasn't severance. It was me paying into my retirement, and they had to pay. I could have left it in there and would have been gaining interest this entire time, but I pulled it out and I ran through that money like butter. Now, a couple things. If I had taken that money, this is 2010, and put that in Bitcoin, we're not even having this discussion. You guys never knew, right? If I take, at that point in time, take 10,000, I didn't even know what Bitcoin was, so that was never going to happen. But had I just put it in a regular Roth IRA, dollar cost average, that was 15 years ago, yeah, life is completely different right now. But I don't even worry about that stuff. One of my favorite books is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. He talks about this one phrase, I'm paraphrasing. He says, I hate that it took me 10 years to figure this out, but I'm glad it didn't take me 20. So that's a perspective I always try to push out there. Yeah, it sucks it took me 10 years, but I figured it out eventually, right? It's like, well, at least it didn't take me 20. And that's how I feel.
Then how should one approach stock trading and investment if they're a complete beginner?
So if you're a complete beginner, I wouldn't trade at all. Like trading is like gambling if you don't know what you're doing. So when we're talking about trading, which I do trade a little bit, like a very small percentage, even the top 3% of traders don't always beat the market. So it's a very small percentage that actually beat the market. The smartest thing to do would to go with track the market. So invest in the S&P 500. That's just what an index, something called an index, or you can do an ETF as well. I follow the tech market. So instead of investing in Apple, I invest in the tech market. So they take Apple, Samsung, all the other tech companies, throw them together. And as that market moves, my money moves. The only individual stocks that I have, I would go with the blue chip. So I don't know if you guys watch basketball. If I was going to pick an NBA squad, I'm taking the 5 best players. If I need a 5-person squad, I'm taking the 5 best players right now. And until they prove me otherwise, they're going to be in my team. So KD still gets a slot. LeBron is still on there. If you like Tatum, use Tatum. If you like Brown, use Brown. But you're going to take the 5 best. So I got NVIDIA. I got a lot invested at Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. That's it. I don't have anything else in my stock portfolio. Nothing else. And then the rest are my ETF and indexes. And last year, they did amazing. But hey, I would stick with the basics. Don't trade. Don't trade. Dollar cost average. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but that's basically, let's say you plan on investing $10,000 in the stock market. Actually, let's say 12,000. It's gonna be easier over the course of a year. Well, you could in January 1 just put 12,000 in the market, and guess what could happen on January 2nd? The market could tank. Boom. And you feel that hit, right? It's like, ooh, ouch, that hurts. Okay, and then your first reaction is to take it all out. So now you lost. So it goes from 12,000 to 10. You take it out, you lost 2 racks. Or you can just put 1,000 a month in there throughout the year. That's dollar cost averaging. I'm gonna figure out how much I want to have for the year into the market, and I'm just gonna put that in there once a month. That's what I do, instead of throwing it all in at once. So then the good thing about it is like when it goes up, I catch that, but when it comes down, corrects, I don't take as big of a hit. So there's pros and cons to it. Yeah.
Should people do stock market or crypto?
For me, I do both. I have a decent amount of. You have to be very specific when you're talking about crypto. Same way you have to be very specific when you're talking about stocks. There's only 2, maybe 3 cryptos long term that anyone should be holding, and that's going to be Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then maybe Solana, ETF, or there's some other cryptos. I don't know anything about them. I don't 100% trust Bitcoin, but I do have a decent amount of money in there. Because I got in when it was at 20,000, and right now it's at 100. I don't have a one full Bitcoin. I don't want you guys thinking I just have 2 Bitcoins laying around here. That would be 200K. I would love if I had that. I do not. I was very modest. I think when it was at 20, I put like $5,000 in, so you can do the calculations if you want to on your own. But it's grown. It's grown significantly. But if you're new to investing, it's very volatile. I would say don't right away. And if you do like a very little amount, like 1% of your portfolio should be crypto.
Then would you still be investing or doing finance if you know that it wouldn't make you money?
No, absolutely not. I wouldn't be doing anything if it didn't make me money. I wouldn't be here like working at a school if I didn't get paid to work at the school. Like, I'm not doing charity work in the stock market ever. It's not gambling to me. I've never lost. I've taken some L's, but I've never lost, if that makes sense. And so one time I bought Ethereum. I bought it for like $3,000, and then within a few months it went down to 1,800. That's an L. And I made an emotional reaction, and I took my money out before it fully recovered. So I ended up losing like 1,000 on that one, right? But over the long run, if you look at where I started and where I'm at, I've been winning. So if I was not winning, I would take it out. Yeah, for sure.
If money isn't a problem, what would you be doing right now?
Well, money isn't a problem. So what's the other question? If I just had an unlimited amount of money?
Yeah, like what would you do?
Probably travel. I'll travel. I would like learn other cultures. Probably pick up MMA full time. Like, yeah, seriously, like MMA is a lifestyle. It's not a sport or activity. It's a lifestyle. So people understand, like, the reason why I don't do it now is because it's so inconvenient with me being a teacher. Because I'm not trying to walk in here like beat up and just hurt. But if I didn't have to teach you guys, I can recover and I can really put the work and effort into it. But yeah, I'd probably be doing like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and probably just learning languages and traveling the world, trying food, getting to know other cultures. I definitely would go to Brazil, probably hit up Japan to practice in those places where Jiu-Jitsu is like huge. Yeah.
What would you say is the most challenging part about teaching finance?
I don't think it's challenging. It's more like trying to get people to understand the importance. The problem with being a teenager is, for one, you think you're going to live forever, and you don't have any perspective on finance because you haven't gone through the ups and downs. A lot of lessons life is going to teach you. So I can tell you till I'm blue in the face, but until you actually experience it yourself, you're like, oh, that's what Mr. George meant. So my job is to plant seeds. I plant seeds, and then one day it'll grow. You might call me 12 years from now, like, hey, Mr. George, I got the Roth IRA you told me about, and it's done this. And that's dope. I've had students hit me up about a U.S. Constitution exam I taught them in 2013. Like, hey, I got pulled over and I told the cop about the Fourth Amendment, and I'm like, you still remember that? Right? And so, but is it tough to teach finance? No, finance is relatively easy because everyone's interested in money, right? Everyone, and it affects everybody. I hate when people are like, oh, money doesn't matter to me, it's not important. It matters to everyone. Life is different when you broke and when you on top. Trust me. Like, I know the difference. Like, it feels different. You walk, even, I don't dress any different. I actually dress more modest. That's probably the reason why I have money now, because I don't spend my money on clothes, right? I used to have all the nice name brand stuff, and then the best thing about having money, in quotes, is you don't have to act like you have money, right? Like, we have outs here, right? He's balling out of control, wears the same jacket every day, right?
So I'm pretty curious, what's your best experience for being a teacher and the best experience for being a cop?
I mean, the one for being a teacher is definitely students reaching back and telling you how something that you taught them changed their life. Or there's a quote, and I'm gonna mess it up, but people won't remember what you said to them. They won't remember what you did for them. They're gonna always remember how you made them feel. And I think that's the part about being a teacher, just leaving students with that good impression. It could be just confidence. Half the stuff you learn in school, you're gonna forget. That's just true. You might take a test today and forget it tomorrow.
Yeah.
These are facts, right? But how do you feel? Okay, what did I teach you? And that's not about being an easy teacher. And it's not even about being likable. I don't even care if I'm liked or not. That doesn't move me one direction or the next. Am I fair? Am I just? Are you actually learning? Am I pushing you to actually think for yourself? Because that's really the goal. Am I making you a better person? As far as being a cop, the best part of being a cop, man, is really just getting out of speeding tickets. It's like, like you get pulled over, you're like, hey, I'm one of you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that was probably the dopest thing. You get a lot of discounts at restaurants. All the donuts you want. No, I'm joking. Not really, but yeah, you actually could get free donuts and coffee at a lot of places. It is something about the uniform, man. People respect you. Like, they don't like you, but they respect you. People look up to you in a certain way. So ever since I stopped being a cop, you don't get that same level of respect, but at the same time, I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of power. It's almost too much power to have, because I can arrest you today, and you may not see your kids for another decade, right? I could shoot you and kill you today for saying that you had a weapon. You know what I mean? And if there's no cameras around, I write the report. Good luck.
Who is your most important friend in life?
My most important friend?
Yeah.
I can't say that on camera. Like, someone might come find me. I would say, if we just talk about friends, man, I have to say my big brother. He's not my actual brother, but I call him my big brother. His name is Gabriel Hudson Jr. Big Gabe. Gabe's a good guy. We did music together years ago. He pivoted. He ended up marrying, like, his wife is like a real life scientist. She works for a petroleum company, but he runs an Amazon hub. Gabe drives like $100,000 Cadillac. It's crazy. The car's like a spaceship, yo. But this is why I'm gonna tell you. So I was in his wedding, which I was in a lot of my friends' weddings. So Gabe, Javier, Ed, I got a bunch of my boys that, like, we're super close. Jimmy, the list goes on. Sid, Darrell. Gabe is one of the few people that will pick me up from the airport. And that's crazy, because no one picks you up from the airport. It's like, what? You need what? That's how you can, that's when when friendships and relationships are determined. I got one brother that would constantly pick me up from the airport, but he moved to Texas. And then Gabe's probably the only other, and he's a busy man. He'll still make time. Oh, I got you. One time my flight got canceled. I was supposed to fly to Cancun. I called him 6 o'clock in the morning. All right, I'm getting up. He just got up and just came pick me up. He's a great friend. But yeah, I got a lot. My circle is tight. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a whole bunch, but I got the people that I do call friends, like, my friends. For sure.
How is life in Colombia? Do you enjoy it more than the state, or no?
In Colombia, yeah. No, Colombia's lit. What are you talking about? No, man, Colombia's one of the places, like, all your dreams can come true and your nightmares can all happen in the same day. So you got to be careful, right? It's like boxing. Protect yourself at all times, man, because it's super dangerous. but that's like part of the thrill, right? Like you can't just go out with your cell phone. Like you're gonna be giving this away to someone, right? But at the same time, the people are lovely people. The food pretty good. The music, the beaches, nightlife. I'm not a party person, so I didn't really go out that much. But the people treated me like family in Colombia. Like they bring you in day one. Venga acá, venga acá, and you have a barbecue. Everyone's trying to get you just enjoy yourself. The States is cool. Like I'm from the States. I'm 100% like from the States. Like even though I have African heritage, like I identify with being American 100%. The States is lit too. Like people don't sleep on the States. The worst part about where I'm from is the cold. It's horrible. It's negative 10 degrees right now. Like it's unlivable, right? But no, I like the States. It's very diverse. The U.S. is cool. It has a little bit of everything. Honestly, like people sleep on the States. I don't know why they talk bad about it. The only reason why I don't live there is an economic decision. I make less here than I would make there, but I keep more here, right? I can make double the salary there and probably still save less than I'm saving here, just because of the cost of living difference. That apartment I have in Baytown District would run me almost $2,000 in Chicago.
So, a lot of Taiwanese have a stereotype for America where their society is very dangerous due to the guns or the drugs. So, as an ex-cop, what do you think about it?
Yes.
It is?
Yes. Yes. No, it's dangerous. Now, where I'm from, especially, it's dangerous. And I don't say that like lightly, because I think some things get like exaggerated. But no, like the U.S. we definitely got a gun problem for sure. Yeah, I mean, but can you live safe in the States? Of course. You know, it depends on what you're doing and what you like to get into and what side of town. If you have money, you don't have. Poor people are usually the most vulnerable to violence, right? The guy is still trying to get in here to sweep, but yeah, poor people are usually the most susceptible to violence, and they can't move. It's not and no one's like protecting them. But if you got money, you live in a rich neighborhood, you're usually gonna be decent in the States.
What is your favorite topic to teach in general?
In general?
Yeah.
I actually don't know what my favorite topic to teach is. I don't really care that much about content. I like teaching skills. And so inferences, I think, is probably the most important skill to teach, so that no matter where you are in the world, you can look at some information and be able to draw inferences from it based off of what's presented to you. Be able to analyze, being able to develop your own argument, your own opinion. I think that's important because there's no knowledge that I have that I think is necessary for all my students to have. But the abilities that I have, I think a lot of students could benefit from. Does that make sense? And so, because everything I know is going to change. You guys have the internet. You guys are going to learn more than I ever forgot, right? But if you have those skills, it can like apply over. You know, it can transfer over. So I think like transfer skills is more important. What I like to study personally, I love to study etymology. I study the roots of words because language never lies. If you study the etymology, it's going to give you the history because words can't collide if they didn't ever intersect geographically. So it's like, okay, why are they using this word in this country? There are certain African languages you find in Colombia. Well, it's because Africans were brought over to Colombia for the slave trade. And the only way you know that if you speak to Ghanaian people, like, yo, they got part of our language in there. Like, how did that happen? So that's why I love studying root words, etymology.
And what is one skill or thing that you think every high schooler should know?
One skill. I mean, the most important thing is going to be social emotional intelligence because your soft skills are going to transfer over. People don't care how smart you are. If you're a jerk to work with, I'm not going to want to hire you. Like, if you're just hard to be around and you're just a negative Nancy just all the time, just bringing down the vibe, I'm not going to want to work with you. I don't care what your SAT score was. If you got soft skills and you know how to interact with people, people are going to give you a chance 10 times out of 10. And I think that's what sometimes this generation especially is lacking because everything is on apps. So you guys don't know how to do like face-to-face interactions a lot of times, which is inherently soft skills. You know, dating happens through swipe left, swipe right? I'm going to jump in their DMs. Like, no, we had to go cold calling at the mall. Like, rejection was real. Right? It wasn't, oh, she didn't respond to my message, left me on red. Like, no, she said no to my face. All right, that develops character and develops soft skills. So I think that's like one of those things where I think that's probably the most important skill for students to learn for sure.
Then how do you keep, how are you motivated to work out every day for
I'm not. There's no motivation for it. I think motivation is the wrong word. I think that for me, working out it's a habit that I developed over time to where whether I'm motivated to do it or not, I'm gonna do it. It's like brushing my teeth. Like, do you ever get up in the day and be like, I'm just gonna skip brushing my teeth? I hope not, right? Are you motivated to brush your teeth? Not really. It's just a habit it's like making your bed. Some people make their bed, some people don't. I make my bed every day. Right, no matter what, I make my bed. I don't leave a dish in the sink, no matter what. Am I motivated to wash the dishes? Lord, no. Okay, but it's a habit I developed. So think about the things. So you got certain skills that are multipliers. And this is what I love to talk to people about. If I was only going to change one thing or two things, what would it be? Do those two things. Don't worry about anything else. So think about the multiplying skills. The gym translates over to so many other things because now I'm more likely to eat healthier because I worked out. So after the gym, I'm probably not going to order McDonald's or Burger King. But if I don't go work out, I'm going straight home, going straight to Netflix. Uber Eats, here I come, right? And then I don't mind chugging it down with a Coca-Cola, you know what I mean? But after the gym, I'm more cognizant of what I'm putting in my body. And now I'm worn out, so I'm more likely to get to bed earlier. I don't have all that extra energy. You see what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's a multiplier. But I'm not motivated at all. I actually don't love going to the gym most days, but I'll be honest, in 10 years, maybe 30, I haven't missed a day that I planned on going unless I was sick. And then I take vacation off the list because if I'm going on vacation. And I still sometimes work out on vacation. Like I got to go to D.C. with these knuckleheads in a couple weeks, right? And I'm still going to work out while I'm in D.C., right? But motivation is not the word I would use. Develop the habit. So how do you develop a habit? You just got to force yourself to do it it says it takes 6 weeks to develop a habit. I think that's cap. I would say you're going to have to do it for like 6 months before you just don't want to quit.
Do you make more money like saving up or in the stock market?
No, I mean, they go hand in hand. Saving and investing go hand in hand, but you make more money investing for sure. Compound interest. It's not even close. It's not even close. But you have to learn how to save to be able to invest. But the most important, it's not even saving. Live beneath your means. You have to know how to live off of less than what you make. That's really all it is. Figuring that out is the key to all of it as far as financial.
Do you recommend using a debit card more or a credit card?
It depends on the person, right? It depends on, because right now, this stage of my life, I use credit cards for everything because I know I'm going to pay it off at the end of the month. So then I get the same benefit of using, there's a couple of things. Credit cards have better fraud protection. Debit cards, if you claim fraud, it's going to be 3 to 6 month investigation. Credit card, within 48 hours, they reimburse you. And it's also, the credit card is the bank's money. It's not my money. That's why the fraud protection is better. The debit card, that's my actual money. So if I'm missing that for 3 to 6 months, like what I'm supposed to do, then I get points. You get miles, you get points, and you can use that to make other purchases. So I'm all for leveraging credit cards, but I never let the interest kick in. So I always pay it off before the end of the month. But if you don't have that, discipline, because I think that's maybe the word we want to use to talk about the gym. How do I have the discipline? That's a whole nother question and motivation. If you don't have the discipline, use a debit card. Shoot, pay in cash. Because we did that activity in finance with the overdraft fees. That happens to people. It's people that live like that. Had they paid in cash, they would have never had that situation.
Have you ever gambled?
I was actually going to try to take that question too.
I don't gamble. I don't do raffles. I don't do casinos. I went to Vegas, not a slot machine, nothing.
Not even once, like a try.
No. I mean, someone tried to give me a lotto ticket one time. I gave it to someone else.
Very disciplined.
Some things, yeah. I mean, everybody got their things.
Are there any books or movie you recommend?
For finance or just in general?
Just in general.
I mean, if we're talking about finance, The Psychology of Money is probably the best book. There's another one called Getting the Gist of Finances. That's probably better for your age. It's more age appropriate. It's like this big. You'll get through it in like 4 days, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. I've read probably 20 books or more on finance and economics. Movies. The best movie that explains finances in a general sense would probably be In Time with Justin Timberlake. Brewster's Millions are another really good one on the psychology of money. That's from the 80s, not school appropriate. The Big Short, I love that one. That's a good economic movie. Again, not school appropriate. They're dropping the F-bomb like every 2 seconds in that movie. I'm trying to think. I do not like The Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know why everyone loved that movie. It was not. It was not enjoyable. It was really long. I watched it one time. Like I never want to watch this again. I'm trying to think. Trading Places. That's from the '80s with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. That's a really good one on finances, like the cultural impacts. But it's entertaining. Yeah, I like edutainment. Like so, education that entertains is always like, to me, that's my bag. Like things that interest me. But yeah, books. It's a lot of books out there, man. I mean, I could go through my library right now. Probably got. Right now, I'm listening to The Psychology of Money, but in Spanish, just to hear it in Spanish.
Talking about movies, there are a lot of movies about cops or police. So what are some things that you really want to debunk or like you think that you just totally wrong?
I would say that when it comes to DNA, I think that's probably the most inaccurate thing that they have going on. When I was a cop, I remember like people like, "Hey, my car was broken into. Are you gonna dust for prints?" I'm like, "No, we're not dusting." Like, you know what fingerprints? We're gonna find yours. We're gonna find your fingerprint. Like the criminal's fingerprints aren't here because I don't know if you guys ever had to give fingerprints before. Even when you purposely give fingerprints, you mess them up half the time. You know what I mean? Like you know, you gotta redo. Like you do immigration, you do this like 5 times, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? So imagine a criminal running in somewhere real quick, boom, boom, boom. They leave. There's no usable prints. Okay, so that's probably the first one: prints, DNA evidence. The biggest misconception is they do this in all the movies. So as soon as they put a gun out, what do they say? You have the
Right.
to remain silent. That's it. So that's called the Miranda rights. Miranda comes from a case, Arizona versus Miranda, where they didn't tell a guy he's like mentally, let's say a little challenged. I don't know what the phrase was back then because it's from like the 60s or 70s. They don't tell him he has the right to remain silent. He's guilty of sin. Like he did whatever they said he did all of that and probably some more stuff. But because they didn't tell him he had the right to remain silent, he had the right to attorney, they had to like let him go because they didn't follow his due process. But you only have to do that when you're questioning someone. So if you're arresting someone you just saw commit a crime, you don't have to Mirandize them. They do it in every moment. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, will. And that is the Miranda. They're saying the right statements, but we say that in the detective room later when we're interrogating them. We don't do it on the streets ever. Under any circumstances do we do it on the street. I'm not about to interrogate you on the streets. I'm just about to put you in handcuffs.
I'm also very curious about the investigation. Do you guys really have a black face and white face?
What?
Good call.
Man, I do that more as a principal and assistant principal than I did as a cop. Like as a principal, you know, you're like, hey, you know, we was gonna suspend you for 5 days, but he convinced me to suspend you for 3 days, right? So I did that a lot. We always did that when I was a principal. Like we always would like make some exaggerated detention or suspension and then settle for something in the middle where that was our goal anyway, right? But as a cop, good cop, bad cop, no, that's not the thing. Not when we was just all bad cops. Like I'm about to be tough on you. If I'm gonna be tough, I'm gonna be tough. I'm gonna be light, I'm gonna be light. We're not about to play these games, so yeah.
Have you ever fired your gun?
Of course, like you gotta practice using it. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. Next question.
Alright, so is there any like cop stories that you think is very interesting and you have experience that you would like to share?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of cop stories I think that could be considered interesting. I'm gonna tell you one that's you probably won't find it interesting, but I do, is you always see these car chases in movies. And our department had a no chase policy. When I tell you there was one car that was involved in like 4 armed robberies in the same day, when they called it out, the car took off, and our supervisor said something over the radio I never heard. He said, "The chase is on." Everybody took off, chasing after this car. We're going 190 to 100 miles per hour down a main city street, trying to catch this guy. Everybody got their blueberries and cherries on, right? You hear the sirens, you see the lights. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying because you don't know who's not going to hear you. So we're going down this one street. There's cross intersections where the lights are changing. The lights, we're driving so fast, the lights can't catch up with us. So we don't know if that light is green or red. And if someone doesn't hear you, they're going to drive through. You're going to T-bone them or they're going to T-bone you. You're going to kill somebody. And I got halfway into the car chase, and I turned around. I was like, no, it's half a dozen, it's 6 cars chasing this guy. I'm gonna go back to the original scene and go check to see if there's evidence there. I turned down everything, shut her down, hit a U-turn, and drove back to the scene. I was with my flashlight. I'm here just searching the scene, guys. Hopefully you catch him. Because I thought about what could happen, and we had a guy in the county who he hit a family of 4, killed all 4 of them on his way to a call. Killed 4 people. They put him in jail for reckless abandonment, or I don't know what the charge was. Don't let me make it up. I don't remember the guy's name. His nickname was like Boogie or something. But it was terrifying for him. He ended up getting his job back eventually, like years later. But for one, he killed 4 people. He's never going to feel right? Even if he was doing what he thought was right. So the question is the juice worth the squeeze? If catching these people is that important that I could kill a family of 4, the answer is usually no. So why are we chasing? That's why we have a no chase policy. Yeah. And people know that, and they take off from the cops all the time.
Thank you for your time today. It's worth it. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you guys for
Thank you so much.
interviewing me.
Thank you.